Well, technically, we're not live yet, right? 7:29.
Oh, we're live now. I forgot that.
Good
Everybody can hear
morning,
everything we're
Vietnam.
saying at the start of this new show and episode. That's us.
I read the news today, a two-bit expose of the same old story that I heard yesterday. Yeah, it goes the headlines, man. They all just go to plan. They're framed and fixed and rigged, and you know they're all just spam. So buckle down, look right in, it crawls its way under your skin. Just got by the things they spout, and it won't make you shout. Give me that good news.
Why?
Because I'm tired of the same old shit.
Yes. Tired of that same old shit? Well, you've got the grounds right here with Giles and Jones, 21.6 The Net. Woo! Of course, brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at Fantasy Factory. Check them out. Right there. 815-385-7399. Right over on Front Street across from the library. This is your absolute, what do I want to say? Enhancement shop for relationships.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Basically, yeah. Romantic boutique, relationship enhancement. I mean, everyone needs a little bit of help. Doesn't matter what area of their life. We could always use a little help, especially us men.
Whether you like it dirty or clean.
That's right. That's right.
Doesn't matter.
Come on over.
Family owned and operated, and you'll enjoy the education that you get there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And of course, this is the most unique show on 21.6 Net, where we ask you, the people out there in the crowd, the listenership out there, and you'll see good old Uncle Pete throwing it up there. There is a link right there for StreamYard.com. Go ahead, copy that, pull that into your URL, and you too can be part of the grounds today with us. And we look forward to your input and you joining us every week. If you don't want to jump on and be on camera, you don't have to use your camera. You can just use your audio. It'll sound like a telephone call. Or just put your comments right there into the
message area.
Comment area and all that good stuff, and we'll chat today. The Devil Within. You and I had the opportunity to get up, do a little sunrise golf yesterday, and we started talking about why are we so hard on ourselves? Why are we our own worst critic? Why are we our own worst enemy?
Right.
So it's that enemy within.
Right. And it's something that everyone deals with, but nobody really talks about.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are going is, why is that? Why do we second guess ourselves? Why are we our own worst enemy?
Yeah.
What is programmed, so to speak, into us, and what causes that to happen? And why don't we reach out to others and kind of share with them and realize that this is a pretty typical human condition, if you will.
Yeah.
And kind of help yourself to feel better and understand that you're not alone out there with these feelings and thoughts.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are that way. They don't share and they get kind of trapped in their own little world.
Well, let's be honest. For those of you out there listening, the hosts of this show are 53-ish years old.
Almost 50, almost 55 for me. Gonna be the double nickel this year, baby.
The double nickel, right? And so as we talk about these things, we come from an era where our male figures in our life were, you work hard, you don't cry, you don't show emotion, you bottle it up,
right?
You move on and be a man,
right?
Yeah. You do things because you're a man.
And mom generally was home raising you, right?
Mom's the lover, the feeler.
You haven't met my mom then, huh?
Men are
just kidding, Mom.
Men are not supposed to be soft. To now, we're in an era that we have raised our men to be Absolutely soft, mushy, feely. Everybody gets a ribbon.
Everyone gets a trophy.
And listen, we can't blame anybody but ourselves for that.
Right.
We have raised the kids that grew up in the 80s, late 70s and 80s. We have raised a group of kids that are soft, mushy toilet paper. We have.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes and no. I mean, I pushed a little bit harder to make sure that I didn't do that. I wasn't the one, giving my kid a trophy just because he participated, made him work for it. I mean, he didn't get, spanked like we did. I mean, that was common back then, you know what I mean?
The pussification of America
Right,
there.
which-
my
right.
kids got whooped.
Yeah.
I whooped my kids, spanked them, plastic spoon, everything.
Yeah. And how'd that work for you?
Awesome.
Yeah.
My kids are great.
You got good kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got good kids too. I was fortunate enough to, as they were growing up, to be able to spend a lot of time with them and talk to them. And to share with them a lot of my trials, tribulations, but the one thing for me that I really never even realized was, what we're talking about today, the devil within, that third voice, the second guessing ourselves. I thought that was just me, so I didn't want to share that with my kid going, hey, this is what I got going on. And, thinking maybe that, dad's not normal or dad's a pussy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until later in life, and then people started sharing, and it's important. And for me, it boggles my mind why we as parents, if we know, and I'm using the word if we know that that's really common, why we don't share. And that's why a lot of times people, if you'll notice, our shows kind of go towards brain and society and what we do or what we don't do, because these are things that we don't talk about. These are things that we don't explore. These are things that we don't try to figure out, because everybody is just so busy these days. They're just doing their own thing. They're not talking. They're not getting out there, and sharing with people and understanding that, it is normal to be that way. It's not great, but it is a normal thing. And how we deal with that is really important. And sharing that information with people, kids, even other adults, is very important, to let them know that they're not alone, that this is a typical thing that you need to deal with. And
yeah, I mean, so indecision, self-doubt, lack of confidence, motivation, these are all products of that inner voice, that inner villain, if you
Right.
will. Yet when we see someone who doesn't fight that inner villain, what do you think of them? So here's what I mean. Now, let's you go to Europe and you go to a nude beach, no clothes at all, and the ladies have hairy legs and hairy armpits, and they're chewing tobacco and smoking cigars.
right.
Beautiful, except for the hairy armpits and the hairy legs.
Yeah.
Where do you go with that?
For me, it's actually intriguing. I think, and it's for them, I believe it's very freeing. I mean, because they don't care. At least they portray that they're not caring, right?
Okay.
That's the standard over there for them. Over here, people wouldn't do that, but over there, that's standard.
Over here,
for
a
them.
ton of people do that.
Really? Where? I want to know. I want to go visit that spot.
yeah. Just look around. They'll dye their hair pink, purple, blue.
Oh, I thought you were talking about nudist beach and smoking cigars, and
we do. And yet here in America, we'll say, "Whoa, that person doesn't get it. They're stepped out of line." Intriguing in Europe,
right?
Doing it here. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Quit pushing your agenda down on me.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. I mean, here the people are dyeing their hair. Over there, it's more body free, I guess, right? I mean, and I'm good with that. I mean, be who you are.
I know a lot of females. I have a lot of females, especially female engineers and thing, who don't shave their armpits or their legs. They're like, screw you.
Right.
Why do I do this?
Oh, that was a societal thing.
I do it to please men, to look pretty.
Yeah.
Right. I think I'm pretty just the way that I am. Right. So when you come up against a young person who doesn't have that inner demon, how do you handle that?
Well, first off, how do you know that they don't have that inner demon? I mean, if you're seeing someone with pink hair, it doesn't mean they have a demon. It just means they particularly might like, that
Yeah, they don't
difference,
care.
that different,
They
right?
don't
They
care.
don't care. Or maybe they do care and they're trying to fit in, or they're struggling and they're trying to be different. And that's their way of expressing themselves. And you don't know until you talk to them. I mean, some of the coolest people I know are very, I don't want to say different because there isn't really any different, but not the norm. We've talked about norm, even though there's no real normal, but they are themselves. They feel very
Right,
comfortable
but
with themselves.
your inner demon just labeled that person. Maybe they're struggling. This is
Right.
You see, your inner demon. You don't know their story. Just label them because your inner demon.
Right.
You're like, what are they going through? Why aren't they like me?
Right. And you could prejudge them right away because it's like just assuming, right, that's it, what it is, and they could be perfectly fine.
Could be,
but you don't know. But because the way society has brought us up, it's like right away you judge. They're different. There's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not like me.
And
that's your inner demon.
Right. And that's bad. And that's the way a lot of it happens today. Right. I mean,
why?
Basically, I think just the way being brought up. I mean, I can't ever think of anyone ever, like in my family, saying, "Oh, that person because they have pink hair is different or they're all screwed up." From my experience, as a general rule, it's a correlation between that. If you see somebody that's really way out there, that the chances are they might be dealing with something, but you don't know. And it's horrible, the fact that I do prejudge and other people do prejudge. And that's because of what's going on inside of us. If you're really okay with who you are and what you're doing, you really don't give a shit.
Yeah, Shana brings up a point. Says, and good morning, Shana. Thanks for tuning in.
Good morning, Shana.
I think much of the feminization of men has been influenced by the poison in our food and products we use with complete trust. BPA is a hormone disruptor. What else is raising estrogen that we don't know? There's a ton.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Great point, Shana, because there are a lot of, our foods are a big thing. They're not getting proper nutrition. And so the body's not, growing right. It's not functioning right.
But here's also an interesting thing, Shane, and I think you're right on that. And that feeds that inner demon. If we are wired to be,
right,
man,
right.
We're designed that way through our cells, genes, all those type of things. And now that poison that's getting in us is battling us. We start going, why am I feeling this way? Why, we start pushing against nature. Weird things happen. However, there is a huge movement right now of people wanting to live off grid. They're starting to understand it. A lot more people are starting to get it. Go, wait a minute. I need to raise my own food. I need to go get off the grid. I need to go live on a homestead. I need to get back to
the basics.
Right?
And controlling themselves and controlling what goes into their bodies.
And there are people doing it who have never even camped. They have no idea. They sell, they've lost their jobs with a great resignation or whatever. They go out and they're like, I'm going to live in a van out in the woods.
Right.
And I'm going to do all this stuff. And I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to shoot a gun to defend myself against a black bear that might come and want to eat everything that I have.
Right.
But I think back to, I think back to, a lot to like the pioneers, the Laura Ingalls, those type of people. And guess what? The women were beasts. They were stronger than the men. They weren't afraid to get out there, bale hay, do this, that, and then they also, you know what I mean?
Well, they raised the kids, they cooked the food, they grew the food, and the guys would.
They're throwing hay. All day long, right? To whatever they had to do to survive. And that inner demon, I think, in us back then, you were like, I don't care. I got to do whatever I got to do to survive and help my family survive and raise this homestead.
Right.
To give us the best possible chance of survival. I think that inner demon that we have, the enemy within, and that constant self-talk is we don't live for survival anymore. We live for likes, thumbs up. We live for your acceptance of me. We live for the attaboys, the attagirls. We live for everybody else's opinion other than our own.
Right. Which is the most valuable.
Right. Guess what? if you live in a neighborhood and your neighbor takes good care of their lawn, you're worried about what your lawn looks like because you don't,
Isn't that crazy?
right?
Right? Yeah.
And that inner demon is like, you need to get out and mow the lawn. It's going to rain.
Because well, they're gonna think you're nuts, or that
Yeah.
you don't care,
That
and
you don't care.
and then that's crazy. It's a horrible feeling, right? I mean, when you really sit back and think about it, it's like you're more concerned about others, about what they're perceiving you as, than you and who you are
Sure.
and what you want to be and what you want to do, and that really takes you on paths that you don't want to go down. But today it's almost second nature for a lot of people, especially with all this, the internet, like you said, all the likes and stuff. Who really gives a shit? Everyone likes a lot.
Hey,
People
Lisa,
want to
good
be
morning.
liked. People want to be liked. People want to have friends.
Yeah, it feels good.
Right. It feels good. And you're also associating with other people, but it's gotten to a point to where it's almost epidemic proportion. Like if you don't get that, you're a failure, and it's like your life doesn't matter. And that's just so wrong and so far from the actual truth. But because of, they call it programming for a reason, right? I mean, because it's indwelling in your brain that you're not right, that you need to conform.
Yeah.
And the inner beast inside of us will continue to exacerbate that and, just push you into ways that you don't want to go until you can really figure out and understand that this is the human condition to a certain point, and you need to learn how to sort through that.
So, and I'm glad you bring this up, Shana. Shana brings up, I've been studying frequency in depth lately, and the possibilities are wild. Everything from emotion regulation to total destruction. Manchurian Candidate was a hint. And I'm glad you brought this up because actually, yesterday morning we talked a lot about this, you and I, and the vibrations and the energies. We have brain waves, right? So we sent it out and, oh man, we connected. Well, how did you connect? Those vibrations. And yeah, I mean, if you want, you can go out to our website, 216thenet.com, and Lisa's got a set of three separate
her podcast,
meditations. No,
okay.
She's got 3 different meditations out there that are run with a certain I'm going to say it wrong, a megahertz or whatever.
Right, the frequency.
A certain
the frequency that your
brain
can pick
to help
up.
you connect, right? Because it's true. It's absolutely true.
Right.
How that works. And you can hear and don't think that the powers that be, I'm not even going to say a government, just the powers that be at different places and different times send out those megahertz. Thanks, Lisa. Megahertz. But yeah, you can go out there. They're self-meditation, self-guided. They're beautiful. It's less than $10 for one of them, or you can buy all 3 for like 25 or something. And you can download them on your phone. You can listen to them in the privacy of your own home,
right?
And just help you kind of reconnect on some things. They're out there. Thanks to Lisa.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. Yeah, I mean, I've used similar type things, and like my CD player, or at nighttime when you're sleeping, just to get that calmness and to have that the frequency and the energies to meld together, if you will, to bring things a little bit better and to refocus yourself, or even to unfocus yourself, to really have no thoughts. And
right.
That's the whole idea with like meditation or mindfulness is being in the moment, not thinking about yesterday, not thinking about tomorrow, not thinking about 10 minutes ahead, just being with yourself and talking to yourself in a positive manner, because a lot of the talk that we have these days is not positive to ourselves.
Yeah, why is it?
I don't know. I mean, we end up beating up ourselves over the littlest, dumbest things, and we just keep going over it. And I think it's because of the the whole thing, that the way that the world has pushed us to where we have to be get approval from everybody else, and we have to be this type of person. We have to live in this area or this type of house, or what
does Pop say there?
We tend to be our own worst critic and focus on what we believe that we lack. Unfortunately, society has a great influence on our thinking. Shana, in regards to BPA, bisphenol A is an extraordinarily well-studied building block chemical used primarily to manufacture durable epoxy resins and strong clear polycarbonate plastic. P is in our everyday polycarbonate is in our everyday lives, is a very commonly used plastic, but it is a chemical that is not good
if ingested.
if ingested. And that's why you'll see a lot of these plastic bottles, like the drinking bottles, say BPA free.
Yeah.
You know, because it's changing our cell structures, you know.
Well, and here's the hard thing as we talk about that inner voice, that enemy within, our own worst, we're our own worst enemy, our own worst critic. It is, but we as a generation started allowing that inner voice to be heard outside, and it starts to affect the people around us. We'll take Facebook. The founder of this struggled with his own self-image and created it to have a way to meet girls.
Right.
Which now, because of his inner enemy, has created this entire horrible structure.
Yeah, societal structure
Around the world that is run by algorithms to irritate, frustrate, and create fear, to where now we question every piece of everything out there. And now our understanding that it's been managed to control our inner enemy.
It's kind of telling us what to think and how to think,
Right.
And we don't even realize it, you know, with just the bombardment that you're getting on a daily basis of saying,
Yeah.
you know, that's not good, or that, you know, you do something like that, you're not good. And it's,
Yeah.
who's my judge? I'm my only judge.
And listen, Lisa, I appreciate that. And here's what I'll say. As long as you continue to smoke cigarettes and don't vape, because I don't think anybody looks cool vaping, you still look cool smoking a cigarette. I'm just telling you. I walk
Well,
up to
they
people,
did that back in the 60s and 70s with the Marlboro Man.
I walk up to people smoking cigarettes outside of bars, stores, whatever, and I go, thank you. And they're like, look at me like, what? I go, thank you for smoking a cigarette and not vaping. I appreciate you.
Really?
Oh man, they get so excited. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, been smoking for 25 years, whatever.
I mean, if you've got to choose your poison,
yeah,
I would think at this
you smoke cigars.
You'd want to smoke something. I mean, you know what it is, but vaping, you know, the real results on that, and all the problems, right? You know, it hasn't come out yet.
I don't get a cigar smelling liquid that I vape.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you remember the time when we were kids back in the 80s where we used to heat up, antifreeze just to exhale it?
No, you'd be stealing your grandma's Viceroys or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, let's go get a couple. You run down to the Okie Dokie and get some matches because she noticed that her lighter was missing, you know, or you quick lit it on the stove and ran outside.
Right.
Right. But anyway, our own, the unfortunate thing I think is our own worst enemy has become, now I'm going to impose that on you. I've got to listen. I struggle enough with my own worst enemy. I don't appreciate the small things. I really, I don't manage my expectations, right? I expect more out of me that I don't, I never hit my own expectations. And my kids, I've lowered the expectations for them, but I still want to push them to try to be good or do better or whatever. And the truth of the matter is we now live in a world where our own worst enemy is no longer within. I'm giving it away and creating it and pushing it out on everybody. And that's why so many people are frustrated, confused, live in fear, all of this, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that, like you were talking earlier, a lot of these social media outlets and stuff like that were designed, if you've ever watched the documentaries on them, the people that put these together were designed to keep us in fear and anxiousness and making us feel that we're not adequate enough, because they know that the human mind in its entirety is weak as a general rule, and that we do second guess ourselves. So if they keep us in this world of, uncertainty and angst, they can pretty much pull over anything they want on us and push us in a direction that might not be healthy for us.
Yeah. Shayna says my critic shows when I fail my higher self. When I'm angry with myself, my higher self rolls her eyes, but never stops me. She's funny like that.
Yeah.
Well, the whole idea of that inner enemy, that the enemy within, that demon, that tough critic, or we're our own worst critics, you know, comes from years and years of sitting in the pot while the water is boiling. And here's what I mean. We're in school. I do the best that I possibly can. I get a C minus. And Scott's over here, and he's fooling around, and he's just better at that particular subject than I am. He doesn't read a book. He doesn't do anything, and he gets an A plus.
I wish.
Right. And then we give the pat on the back throughout society, schooling in our early formidable years to the A plus. Look, they're special. When I was a kid, we had a special reading group. Then you know, if you read really well, you'd go to a different room. Or if you did math, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then you know, we separated like that. And you're like, all right, cool. I'm in the average group or whatever. Or I'm in the low group. That's just what it is. But the idea is now I get mad at Scott, and I'm like, he doesn't even try. He gets A. This is ridiculous. Instead of me understanding, did you do your best? Great job.
Right.
Great. Good for you.
Yeah. And that's not something that they do for us.
You got 68 out of 100. Right. Good for you.
Right. Yeah.
Way to go. That's more than half.
Right.
That's more than a third. Right. You know, way to go.
Right. Yeah. The emphasis is just on the grade, not on the effort, and not on maybe even the change. I mean, who knows? The test before that, you could have got a D.
Right.
You know.
So what happens? Scott rolls through school, barely giving any effort. You know, he graduates valedictorian, and and then he goes off to school and to college. He gets his degree, working the same way. He ends up being a high school teacher. And he's given no effort throughout the whole thing.
Right.
And yet he graduated the top of his class, all that good stuff. Meanwhile, I didn't go to college because I was told, it's going to be tough for you or whatever. And so I battled that own demon. I'm not going to survive. I can't make it in college. You know, I was never as good as Scott. And then I go to work, and the next thing you know, I own a business or two because I'm creative and I try hard all the time, and I become more successful than Scott. But I always remember Scott as this guy, right? The number one, the valedictorian. And we show up to the 10-year class reunion, which is the school system and society's way of dick measuring.
Right. Yeah. Where you been? What you doing? Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you know, Scott's like, yeah, no, man, I'm an 8th grade math teacher. I love it. You know.
Right.
And I still, in my enemy inside, still is like, that bastard, man, he's got to make. God, he gets summers off. This guy, God, why didn't I? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I'm still that enemy battling from years ago. Meanwhile, I have no idea that Scott's like that lucky son of a bitch.
Right.
You know. He's got three businesses. You know, he's got a boat. This guy's got it all.
Right.
Now here I am struggling.
Well, it's a perception thing.
Yeah.
Right. And that perception thing has been set up on how we were raised. Right.
Yeah.
Because just because you see somebody that's got something or is doing something that you perceive greater or better than you, bullshit. Yeah. Bullshit, people. Right now, don't even think about it. Think about you. Think about what you wanted to do, and think about everyone's different. Everyone has different circumstances. Everyone has different wants. Everyone has different needs. If you're okay with what you're doing and who you are and where you're at, that's perfect. If we could change that perception and then change that thought process of keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak, you know what I mean, or caring about what other people are doing or thinking about you, things would be a lot better.
Well, would they though? Because we grew up and we heard and Bob backed me on this. We heard our parents say, "I want my kids to have a better life than I did." Right?
Right. You're
So
right.
you and I are in.
And I say that too.
Okay. Well, why? What if your kids don't want to have your life? What if they don't want to have a quote unquote what you would call better life?
Right. And that's a really good question, because I mean, what we want, and I think by having a better life, at least from my standpoint, is to not have to go through as many struggles, or to not have to learn, have some really bad things happen, make some big mistakes, and, cause major strife in their world. You want them to have a little bit easier than you, to understand things a little bit better, to be able to share, with other people, instead of just, being the status quo, if you will. Right. I mean, if your kid's fine with that and they just want to be, I hate to use the word average or normal or typical. Great. If that's what they want, we need to allow them to be that way. Right. But a lot of us, when you say want to have a better life, well, my life isn't bad. My life hasn't been bad. I've had struggles. I've had ups. I've had downs. I've had good. I've had great. I've had bad. I've had horrible. But it's made me who I am. The problem is, and as you and I know, as parents, when you see your kids dealing with that, or the inner demons, that they have, and you can't help them, or at least maybe they're not coming to you to talk about. For me, that's hard. It's really hard not to interject. Right.
But that's what I'm saying. You and I, as parents, injected our inner demon onto them. We just threw
not knowingly.
We threw it up all over them.
Right.
And now here they are. And I'm blessed. I'm blessed. My son is in the Navy. He defends the rights of this country and fights for freedom. My daughter is a clinical psychologist. She's one of the best, and I scratch my head because I'm like, it's not supposed to be that easy. And she's kicking ass and taking names. And I've got another daughter who is right now beating, she's living the wild life. She's a freshman in college. And, I called her the other day. I said, when you're done being the queen of the trailer park, you let me know. Right. And
she's exercising her demons, right?
And she doesn't have any
that of.
Maybe she doesn't have any. She's just out there living life, having a good time,
just wanting to party.
But she's got goals and aspirations, and she wants to be an EMT and work on the flight for life, and so that takes a special person right there. And my 13-year-old daughter is 13-year-old daughter. I mean, she's in 8th grade. She's going through this, but the idea is I've thrown up and Ashley has talked to me about it, and I shared a little bit yesterday morning is why'd you do that, Dad? Why'd I do what? Why'd you instill in us to be the best? Because I think you are, and you should always strive for that, right? That's my inner demon that I threw up on them. Now she's kicking ass, taking names. It's wonderful. Right. She's really, really, I mean, she's like the Michael Jordan. She's up and coming and just amazing. And what Spencer's doing as well. He's hit a plateau and a level that by the end of the summer, he's going to be like at the max that he can be in the military, and he's training people. I mean, I'm proud as a peacock about these two kids, and my strive to always be better or be the best, because I was the youngest of 4 boys. So in my entire life, everything was a competition.
Right.
Everything was a competition.
Everything came down to beating on little
right.
Kent, right?
My brothers all have these massive degrees. I don't. So I've gone through my life saying, I've got to prove to them. I've got to prove that I'm worthy. I can have just a good life, if not better, by the school of hard knocks.
Which
right.
Sometimes the school of hard knocks is the best.
That's just the way that I was raised, but then I'm throwing that onto my kids. And so now my kids are sitting there wondering why I threw my inner demon on them. If everybody's got their own, now they've got mine and theirs. Right. And now they may just be sitting here comatose and afraid to move because I don't want to let Dad down.
Right.
Maybe maybe I don't want to do that because I don't know what to do when the training wheels come off. Lisa says, we have created young people whose value is based on thumbs up and followers. It's more enhanced by how many of them are being paid six figures for crazy stunts or content, and each wanting to tap down. Absolutely. Everybody wants to go viral. That's their goal.
Right.
The what is that? Veterinarians I worked with used to say the A students went into research and the B students ended up working for the C students because they had a better ability to apply common sense and business. Absolutely. I agree 100% with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The book smart ones are the ones that go into research. Yeah.
The what is that?
The DARPA, the seed money in Silicon Valley is scary enough, but combined with the monopolitical identity, the ability for an unelected government with censorship ability. College used to be a place to discern truth among thinkers, and now we protect students from questioning the truth with literal safe spaces. Wow.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. You can't think or say that here. This is a safe spot. Hey, Beth, good morning.
Good morning, Beth. Long time no hear, huh?
Yeah. So Beth says, we all have our own strengths. We have to learn to not worry about what everyone else is doing. I taught my girls just to do your best and be able to stand on your own. Good work ethics go a long way in life. You're absolutely right.
100%.
You're absolutely right. And I my son, I said, listen, buddy, you're going to fall in love with a lady, and you've got to take care of that lady, right? That's, you want somebody you can laugh with and that you can get along with, and that's the key. And enjoy that ride. And my girls, I'm like, listen, girls, all men are idiots, and they are always going to be idiots, and you cannot change them. You have to find one that you can put up with.
Well, you can accept. Well, just like with everyone, you accept their goods, their bads, and their uglies, and that's part idiots. Of right. Yeah. Well,
I'm one. So
I don't totally understand. We are all idiots, but I mean, you have to find the one that fits. That find the person basically that is the same type of crazy as you.
Right. But again, you're right. A good hard work ethic goes a long way in life. You're absolutely right. Food just doesn't come into your front door and go, hey, I need to be butchered.
Right.
You got to go set traps, and then you got to go look at the traps. You got to bait it. You got to go hunt.
Well, you got to go. Yeah, you got to go hunt. Right? You got to go out there and you got to attack things. And that's what the thing for me, teaching kids, they might not be book smart because I wasn't book smart. But the one thing that I did learn from my dad and my family was, work hard, you go out and you fend for yourself. You know what I mean? You set up the kill, so to speak, right? You program yourself to what you want out of life, right? And what you're wanting as a life, but you need to go out and attack that. You need to be the one that achieves those things, that needs to make it happen. You can't just sit back.
So your daughter, don't you think she sits there and goes, man, my dad said to sit back. He wants life to be easy for me. Yet I see my dad out there getting scarred up, bumped, bruised, failing, winning, failing, trying, struggling. And I really like the way my life is. But now I don't know what to do because he wanted life to be easy for me and not to go through all the things he did. But I would love to have the same scars because my dad's my hero.
Yeah. Not my daughter.
No, I'm just
right. But
I'm not saying you personally. I'm just saying in general.
And that does happen out there. A lot of times, we want to give our kids the best thing in life and want to give them a leg up. But what ends up happening a lot of times is you end up coddling them and not letting them make their own mistakes and get their own bumps and bruises. So what do they have to learn from? What they watch on, these days, what they're watching on their phone or on the computer or the TV, right? You need them to go out there and get beat up so they can know.
But you said, I don't want them to learn that. You said yourself.
No, I want them to have a better life than me. I didn't say I didn't want them to get bumped and bruised.
No, you said I want it to be easier for them. I want that. You said it.
I do want it to be easier for them. I don't want them to have to struggle as much, or at least if they are having them, to be comfortable with sharing and knowing that it's okay, and knowing that, the way you're thinking and the way your mind is messing with you and your inner demon, so to speak, that's a normal thing. It's how you respond to that. It's, don't let it take you over, and just, know that you can control that. I didn't know that. So for me, I want to teach them that and explain that to them. And that's why a lot of times you'll find my conversations with everybody just comes down to just general, normal, existence questions or situations, that we can share on how you dealt with those things.
Shannon says, our generation heard the phrase, children are a direct reflection of their parents. We have been programmed to believe it. Society pats you on the back, and if you, quote unquote, fail, they drop their eyes. Very, very toxic. Yep. Lisa says, I've said to my youngest, mini-me, I see you and your fiance making the same mistakes your dad and I made. I'm going to sneeze.
Achoo. Says if you want to avoid it, ask. If not, you are an adult now and you can learn the hard way. I find it makes her think about it, and she takes it, actually listens versus me telling her. So that's
yeah, and we talked about this. As a parent, I've pushed my kids out of the nest, right. They're out. I've raised them. Alice has raised them more than I have. But we've raised them to be strong, independent people, right? And right now, with my adult children, I'm the guru on top of the mountain. You're going to climb up the mountain when you want my advice. I'm going to give you 4 words. I'm not going to sit there and preach to you. I'm going to be like, go and do, right?
Right.
And they're going to say, what does that mean? And I'm just going to be quiet.
Right.
Figure that out. You got to go. You got to figure that out. I'm not going to try to. I see my kids make mistakes. It's wonderful, right?
It's wonderful seeing the mistakes or seeing how they correct the mistakes or learn from them.
Both.
Right.
Because without failing, we don't grow. Without failing, we don't learn.
Right. Yeah. You have to screw up to realize that ain't the right way to do it. And it'll make you a stronger person. Sometimes though you don't like to see that struggle happen, deep down inside that is going to make them a stronger person and be able to survive and deal with all this, nonsense out there.
Morning, Bill. Bill says he misses the days of those baited traps. It's so true. Shane says, I wonder how some of these keyboard warriors make the transition to real world conversations that have the real world consequences. The fake bravery online gets settled pretty quick within an arm's length. Yeah, and a lot of them don't.
I was going to say most of them don't and never will. That's their life.
And we've now created terminology. We've now created all sorts of things, isms and phobias and things of that nature to say, you're okay.
This is normal.
You have this type of whatever.
Right.
And I'm not saying that those don't exist.
Right.
I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying that we have created enough safe spaces and terminologies to say, well, I've got to be careful because that keyboard warrior has social whatever, right? And I gotta really worry about their feelings. I don't. But hey, Don, good morning. Too much. We associate a better life with how much money they make rather than learning how to love a life of joy and content. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
That.
And what is that? So in society, people get divorced, and what are they fighting about? Income and cars and then
stuff.
Every time I talk about your mother, I'm saying, you know what? This lady took me to the cleaners, right?
Right.
And it's all about that stuff. And those inner demons continue to play. Oh, I'd have a better life if I didn't marry her. Well, you know what? You did. You
made that choice. You have to deal with it and move on. Right.
Right. What does Bob say?
He's going on. He says, Kent, in response to your inquiry, I believe every parent wants their children/generation to have a better life than they have had, to struggle less and to benefit from the life experiences that we are as parents have had. However, as the old saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Book smart does not guarantee a comfortable living. On a personal basis, I have friends that did not excel academically who went down the road to learn a trade and have become ran out of space. But my dad has a couple people. Multi-thousandaires. Well, my dad has one good friend that wasn't educated, and he's just ungodly wealthy. But Doesn't make you happy.
Right.
Money ain't going to make you happy. Ain't going to make you stop second guessing yourself.
Right. And here's the deal. And I'm going to push back a little bit here, Bob, is this, want their children, their generation to have a better life than they have had. What does that mean?
I was just going to say, what does better mean?
What is that definition? Right. Less struggle. Is it you grew up on the south side of Chicago in extreme poverty, with bad school systems, with horrible access to clean water? You grew up in the Congo where there was no electricity. What is a better life?
Well, that's different
Were
for
you
everybody.
Beverly Hillbilly? You understand what I'm saying? So in my inner demon wanting my kid to have a better life than me is different than the life that's better for Scott's children.
Right.
And yet I've planted my demon on them
unknowingly, which is the worst. Yeah.
Without helping them understand what a better life is.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is what society portrays as a better life, unfortunately, comes down.
What do your family and lineage define as a better life?
Right. My family never pushed money like for a better life. You have to make more to be happy, this type of thing. Mom and dad always did say to us, find out, do something you love and the money will follow.
Absolutely.
And they're 100% right. And I tell that to my kids as well. But unfortunately, the way that the outside influences that we have and just the way the society is right now, that, if you're not, a 6-figure earner, or you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have a life. And that's total fucking bullshit, and that's programmed you to where it actually makes you feel bad. And that's where that inner demon will just start hammering on you going, wait, you didn't do that. Why didn't you do that? You need to step up to the plate. You need to do this. You need to have that. Well, no, what you need to have is you need to have confidence in yourself. You need to be okay with yourself. You need to enjoy yourself.
That's what you think they need.
Right.
Maybe they don't.
That's what I need. That's what I need. And so we end up pushing it. We end up pushing it on other people, not knowingly. Right.
So our own inner demon really is there's like the gunshot splatter. Like our own inner demon, it's splattered.
Right.
It's covered people. Don says, hey, just a rhetorical question here. Would you rather your children be pretty wealthy and miserable, or make an okay to good living and be truly happy?
Okay, good living and be truly happy.
All right. Rhetorical answer is, are they taking care of Alice and I? Are we living with them? Or are they putting us in a home?
Well, I mean, quite honestly, for me, I just would rather see everybody I know, not even just my kids, just truly happy and okay with who they are, and not chasing the almighty buck. If they're happy, if you're doing something you love and you really enjoy it, the money really will follow, because that becomes your life. You get up, when you enjoy what you do, you don't actually work. Right. It's like playing all day.
Right. Lisa says, yeah, I agree, Robert. Some people excel for different reasons. I have a 4.0 master's degree daughter and a 21-year-old no degree daughter, and their salary income is not very far apart. My youngest has an unprecedented work ethic and common sense level, and has been promoted multiple times at a very young age with no degree. And there are those people. Yeah. The better life we want for our children is the one that makes me believe somehow they will escape the struggles that make life authentic. I don't want them to escape those struggles, because we teach what we think is the path to success. We choose not to teach real life lessons. Sheltering makes life harder later. Absolutely.
Right. Because they're not going to learn those lessons and be able to figure it out for themselves. And that's,
Don says they will not take you in, Deke. That's right.
I mean, she had a good question with that one, though. I mean, and for you, Kent, I mean, what's your answer on that one?
On what?
Truly happy and just average income, or wealthy and miserable? I mean, I think that's a kind of a no-brainer question, especially from me to you. But I mean, some people will say I'd rather have them wealthy, because then they have the money to take care of any issues that come their way. But money can't bring you a happy brain if you're not happy with yourself.
As a parent, my innate innate will is for my kids to be happy, healthy, and know that they're loved, right? And the truth of the matter is, I don't care which one they are, because I can't love them any less, and I wouldn't stop loving them any less, right? Um, it's just the way it is. Every person, everybody chooses to travel their own path, their own road in life. Would I will them? Could I will them? Yeah. I mean, my kids, I just gotta, we talked about this yesterday. I want my kids to know that when they need me, I'm here.
Right.
Right. I don't care. My son could go out, my daughters could go out and do a mass shooting and kill a bunch of people, and I would be the first one to visit them in jail.
Right.
I'd let them know that I still love them and I don't love them any less.
Right.
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 But hey, you've chosen this path, so we've got to deal with it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. That's it. So, of course, as a parent, you always want your kids to be happy and healthy. Right. You always do. Right.
Well, most. I don't know. Some parents these days just want to use them.
Yeah. So how do we find what makes you happy and then translate that into a career? That's not easy.
It's by trying
it's
a
not.
bunch of different things.
And it changes all the time.
Right.
It literally changes all the time. But what we're talking about is this inner enemy that we have, this self-critic. I want what Scott and I really, as we're golfing yesterday, is the deal that, right, there's splatter, that our inner demon, who what we think is our worst critic, or our inner dialogue, has spewed out onto people around us, whether
Right.
it's friends, whether it's your loved one,
Right.
whether it's your wife, your partner, your husband, whether it's your kids, maybe it's your nieces, nephews, if you don't have kids, whatever the case may be, right? Is that inner demon speaks loud, right?
And a lot of times we don't even realize we're doing it. That's one of the tough things. You don't realize you're pushing it on them.
Don says, hey, we're the wealthiest country in the world, and we have the most depressed people.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Lisa says, when my kids were little, and they would ask 1,000 questions game, I would first always respond with, what do you think the answer is? Then ask why. I believe it taught them to think things through better, and is why they have common sense factor many young people don't have. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people will just answer it for them instead of letting them figure it out. Because like my answer usually, or my question, when they ask me a question, is, what do you think? Well,
and that's where Lisa says when they were little, they absolutely hated it. Bob says, I have never known a wealthy person to really be happy and satisfied where they are in society. Enough is never enough. And again, he puts wealthy in quotes. And again, what is that? That's
right.
that.
Well, he's going financially. A lot of people that I know that are very financially well off want more. It's always more. They're not content where they're at, and that's your inner demon. Oh, you can do better. You can do more. You can do this. And it's like that really for most people. It's just not having wealth. Being wealthy just amps up the game, if you will. When is enough? What is enough? What's going to make you happy? What's going to stop you from striving for that? It's different for everybody. And that's something we have to figure out, and what our demon is telling us, right? Do you need to make 100 grand a year? Do you make 50 grand a year? What do you want to do? What do you want to be?
Did the cave people go, damn, you don't have too many rocks in your cave. You must have it made.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at you.
Right.
Or wow, look at the size of the rock on that stick that you have. That's amazing, Scott.
Right.
Hey, do you see Scott's stick? That thing, oh my God, he's gonna beat up something. Oh man, how do I get one of those?
Right.
No, I don't know. No. Now, in the case of the flood, I imagine a lot of Noah's neighbors were like, look at the size of that boat. Shit, wish I had the size of that
get on
boat
that.
now.
Yeah. He's wealthy. He's got two of everything.
Right?
Yeah. What did Don say?
Yeah. Well, Don says, of course, amen, Deke. I have said way worse things about me to myself than others have said, other than maybe Bill Hussey, of course. And of course, Bill Hussey, the host
The
of
host of
Innovative Strategies here on Wednesday mornings at 9, financial literacy. He's trying to help everybody understand and get better, which is great. I would personally like the opportunity to prove myself. Being a multimillionaire won't bring happiness. I'm with you on that. If somebody's out there who wants to have a couple of guinea pigs or rats run through that maze, you can send the million, couple $1 million to me and Lisa, and we'll be your guinea pigs.
Well, people that you ever watch that crazy show, The Lottery Changed My Life?
I haven't seen.
Well, it's people that win the lottery
Yeah.
and how it actually ruins their life.
Yeah,
because they don't know how to handle it, because
yeah,
they didn't work for it, so they don't appreciate it.
right.
Anything you work for in life, you can, if you appreciate it, it's that much better. When you win something like that, you don't appreciate it and you squander it.
So, Bill, you are absolutely, thank you for bringing this up. You are absolutely right. And this whole show is about that enemy within. And most people that have commented and we've read have allowed us to see their enemy within. And that's
Right.
what I mean. It isn't within, folks. You splatter it out. You
Right.
throw it up on everybody. Bill says, why do we look at wealth as a bad thing? We can be wealthy and happy, especially if you're doing good things for
With
others.
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But here's it. Look, they got divorced. He does cocaine. He keeps buying these Corvettes and this and that. He doesn't he's struggling. He's hustling. He's miserable. Wealthy is bad.
Right.
Oh, look at that. This guy is a rapper. He's a gang member, whatever. Right. Absolutely. So this whole show, and this is what I love about this show, is showing people's inner demon, that enemy within, their critic is starting to come out.
Right.
And I love you all for it because it's awesome.
And it's good, and it's good to share, to get a different perspective and to see which way that you're going, and that you're not any different than anybody else. It's just your struggle at this point might be different, and what your demon's telling you.
On the upside, an active inner critic makes you almost impervious to others' opinion of you. It's tough, because I think that
almost opens you up more.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, because that inner critic, you're always going, why did he look at me that way? Well, why did they ask me that question?
Why did his eyebrows go up and he says, "Oh, nice outfit."
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Because sometimes a lot of times the inner critic actually is more detrimental to what your perception is, because of the fact that you're looking at it from, I know from my standpoint, you're looking more to the negative instead of going, hey, he just said I like that outfit. Oh, I do too. That's why I put it on, instead of going, is there something wrong? You know what I mean? Does it wrinkled, or you automatically go generally to something that could be the bad side of it.
We can talk about this next week. Money is not the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. Wealth is not a bad thing. That is a line that is forced full of BS. But it's one of those bumper stickers we all love, Don. Money is not the root of all evil. Love of money is the root of all evil. No, it's not. And we can debate this all day long, because let me just say, when a certain angel fell from heaven, he didn't have any money. That's all I'm gonna say. I'll leave it there. We don't have to go to church today, but I want you to understand, wrong, right? That's what poor people say.
Yeah,
that's what poor people.
Well, say. I mean, what I think, when he's saying the love of money, meaning love, it's like nothing else is good without having. It's not the root of all evil, but it does. But money and people striving for it can cause a lot of problems, because that's where a lot of conflict comes on.
It can, because I don't understand why you work so hard to get all that stuff, Scott. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm very content and happy here. You're an evil person.
You sound like the church lady.
You step on people's fingers. Hey, let me tell you what, folks. The backs that you step on to get up the ladder are the asses you're going to kiss as you're falling down it.
Yeah, yeah. Right? And that's a great statement. Yeah.
My best friend from childhood was an imaginary person. Thank you, Lisa. Oh wait, no, that's not what it says. Was semi-gifted, multi-millions. And his view of it is, I am the luckiest SOB in the planet. And his lifestyle has changed, but his personality has only been enhanced with generosity. Absolutely. And there are people, right? There are givers.
Right.
It is okay to want money. When it becomes the most important thing to you, that's when it goes wrong. That no, again, that's a whole different show. We can talk about that next week if you want to tune in.
Yeah.
I love that line, and I'll debate that with you all day long. Again, a feeling that it's like this. It's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. Never said the champion,
Right.
always the loser.
Right. Yeah, it's the one that didn't win going, next time.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very true, Shayna. Money makes one more of who the person they are. I agree with Lisa. Money makes someone more of who they are. If bad, they will get worse. If good, they will get better. Well, we're going to talk about this next week.
Yeah.
You guys want to agree with that? I'll push back against you all day and bring up several cases to prove you absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Again, that is, a lot of the sayings come from.
Well, money can buy things, but it can't buy happiness.
You don't shop at the same place I do.
You can buy happiness with money?
Absolutely. You ever buy a new car? Brand new car? You ever buy a
Nope.
brand new car and sit there and go, well, this fucking sucks. I'm not happy at all.
Well, for the first couple weeks, you're happy as hell, but
you ever
wanes.
You ever get a new pair of shoes and feel, man, these are great, comfortable. I'm happy these shoes. So if money can't buy you happiness, you don't shop at the same store as I do. Those wishing to test the money theory, please PayPal Lisa and Kent at 2 and say absolutely. You go right on there, buy the meditations. Deke is a dummy. On next week's show. All right,
Don. Wow, that's a challenge.
Let's go. Then,
Love
buddy.
it. Love it.
And you can always take the link and jump on, and so your voice can be heard,
And your face.
and your face if you want. You don't have to have your face on there, but if you want to, next week we will do that right here on the grounds. We will talk about money is the root of all evil.
I like it.
Let's go with
I
it.
like it.
All right. Listen, we got to run. We can't thank you enough for joining us, for all the input. We absolutely love each and every one of you. We do want you to understand a couple of things. That inner critic, that inner enemy, the enemy within, you let out all the time. Yeah. And it's splattering on people that you don't love, like, and trust. Until then, let's do it. Bring back up, Ken. I will.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in this week, guys, and getting caught in the net. This is Giles and Jones with The Ground. Go out, love somebody, and realize that we all have that inner demon. We just need to learn how to tame it.
Listen,
love you all.
Listen, if no one has told you you are beautiful, if no one has told you you are strong and loved, and your life kicks ass, I just did. Make this weekend great. Come back at 9 for Bridging Civil Tension, 11 for My Loso Lifestyle, 1 for the Neighborhood Pulse, 3 for In the Know with Steph and Joe. Be good, everybody.
Love you guys. Have a great weekend.